everybody. Welcome back to our third installment of Health at Home. Welcome if you are new and you've never seen any of these before. Thanks for joining in. If you have been watching our other ones, thank you very much for coming back, and we hope that you guys are going to enjoy this one too. My name is Andrea Shackle, and I am a registered dietitian with Revive Shackle, and my counterpart who has been in this series with me is Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'll jokingly point out that you said Revive Shackle instead of Revive Wellness. Totally keep that in there. That's hilarious.
This is a very good example of, if you caught our last webinar on working from home, this is one of those things of, it's in the evening. I don't usually do stuff in the evening, and that transition from home life to work life, this is what happens. I think actually the brain just doesn't know where it is half the time. But
Yep.
if you're interested in that, definitely check out our second webinar on that. And Brandon, my brain is not working, and I still can't remember the title of our second one.
The title of our second one was 5 Tips to Make a New Work Schedule at Home.
Yeah, so clearly I should be following those tips. But today, Brandon and I from Revive Wellness and My Viva Plan are here to present a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about 5 nutrition tips if you wear a mask at work. And this is coming off of the new bylaws that were just passed on Saturday around wearing a mask either at work or in indoor places. And this will be something that probably everybody's going to have to figure out. We've already been talking to clients on this very topic because these new protocols mean actually change in their nutrition habits, that what they would have done at work is not the same. So we are here to present to you the 5 nutrition tips if you wear a mask at work.
Fantastic. So if you've watched our other webinars, you've seen this slide before. A little bit of an introduction for me. I've been with Revive Wellness for over 2 years. I started my career as a registered dietitian with them, and I've been with them ever since. And I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. I deal with a lot of the clients at Revive Wellness who are more active recreational athletes, elite athletes, even people that are not athletes. Sometimes I consider people an athlete and they don't. Work with plant-based diets, but I'm really fascinated with taking a whole body approach to health in any situation. And this situation is very much, relevant for that as well. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'll put my handle there as well. And Andrea?
Yeah, so just like Brandon, I just actually have been with Revive over just clocking over a year now actually, but have been a dietitian for over 10 years in chronic disease management, obesity, weight management, diabetes management, and just that overall health management. And just like Brian, that holistic approach of, we talk about nutrition because that's dietitians, but at the same time, we look at all areas of health and how that impacts one's ability to, make change in things. So this whole, working from home, please, trying to get better health at home during this pandemic, and now with the wearing of masks piece, falls very into that same category of, okay, this is another area of our health that we have to start thinking about and how that applies to some of our day-to-day routines. So this is kind of, it's going to be interesting today. It's 5 kind of very quick tips, and we hope you enjoy.
All right. So what we'll go through, just give a little bit of a layout, where to go for information related to mask wearing, not stuff that we've made ourselves. We're going to refer you out to sources elsewhere, of course. Talk about the current state of evidence for nutrition around mask wearing. The tips, and then how we can support you, as we've always had in these webinars. So to start with, as a disclaimer, we always recommend that you follow the recommendations put out by Alberta Health Canada, Alberta Health Services. There's many things out there on how to do it properly and safely. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Well, we keep that in mind when we're going through these tips, of course. But this area with regards to nutrition, as you might think, and as you might anticipate, there's not a lot of evidence and there's not a lot of information for how we navigate nutrition with mask wearing. It's not necessarily something that is a pretty common thing. In this scenario, there are definitely cases where you'll find it, but it's not something that everybody in society has to deal with on a daily basis.
That's right. And, we definitely pride ourselves as being evidence-based and getting information out there that, is trusted and reliable. And this topic is been challenging to find stuff because the literature isn't there for this, but at the same time we're trying to navigate in this whole new normal, and it is putting up some challenges. So just like what Brandon said, these are kind of practical experiences. This is kind of our best judgment and best advice at this time until we hear otherwise or until something new comes down. So usually everything you hear from us is very evidence-based, and this one we're gonna try to maybe put some stuff out there just from a practical point of view.
So some quick tips on the side there on the right: washing your hands prior to eating, removing your mask, any touching of the mask, trying to limit that. Use safe precautions when taking off your mask. Of course, avoid touching your face, using hand sanitizer as needed. Use a new mask after you eat as well, because of multiple reasons. One, where you put your mask, if you've touched your mask, all those types of things. So try to be as safe as we can. Of course, this is not the whole list of things that you have to worry about, which is why we encourage that if you don't know much about this, to look at the recommendations from the other bodies that we mentioned. So let's move on to the first one, shall we?
Yes,
Very
definitely.
Good. So this one is actually, love the picture of Raina on this one. This one depends.
This is our office place. This is our office. If anybody was, Brandon and I have talked about in other webinars, we're usually side by side in the office. We have not been in the office, but we do have some of us going in, and that's our new look.
So if any of you watching out there have ever been in our office lately for body composition analyses, it's the only one that we're doing in person right now, and this is what will look like when you come see us. But it brings up a good point that you should learn about the protocols around wearing masks for your workplace. It's different for everybody. No workplace is the same with this because there's different densities of people, etc. So the first thing is understanding that, and of course we don't know all of your workplace protocols, so we're leaving it up to you to look into that.
That's right. Yeah. Definitely lots of the workplace ones, though, have kind of been mentioned a little bit. They might not be in your protocols, but, that whole lots of office spaces have small kitchens, maybe have small eating spaces. So, obviously, with wearing a mask, you're still wanting to kind of avoid those spaces, especially if the physical distancing can't happen. And even just kind of then the other fallback guideline that we've seen, presented in the news is, not really sharing stuff. Sharing of food, so whether that be potlucks or get-togethers, that's kind of being on hold for the moment. So there's always safety in just kind of bringing your own food. But we also had to put out the disclaimer of, we know that COVID to date is not transmitted through food itself. So it's not that, sharing food is going to transmit that. It's more of the droplets getting in the food that are going to transfer that. So just kind of keep that in mind. We're not worried from a food safety perspective from that piece.
Very good. So the second one, now this was used a little bit of explanation. So adjusting your meals and your snacks. And what we mean by this is adjusting the timing and adjusting the frequency. So the first point, compressing snacks into your meals, whether you're moving your morning snack into your breakfast, your afternoon snack to supper, or to your lunch, whichever. And this is really just to decrease the frequency of which you have to touch your mask, take your mask off. So from an efficiency perspective, you're spending less time, doing things with your mask, because it takes longer to do this than it does before. Before you could just, pick up an apple and crunch, set it down, do whatever. But, there's a process of taking it off and putting it back on. So there might not be room for it, right?
That's right. And I think this is hitting a lot of our clients that, were never eating maybe breakfast at home and they were taking their breakfast to work. And now that's a whole routine that's going to need to be adjusted. And then we also have the people who might not eat first thing in the morning and rely on that morning snack to carry over. Again, that's going to be another routine that's going to be altered. So it's very much in that, okay, our breakfast might actually need to look bigger to be able to withstand all the way to lunch, because we have seen some workplace protocols come in where there is just no snacking in the day anymore. So figuring out what kind of person you are, and it might mean that, if you didn't have time in the morning to grab something to eat, that you're allocating that time in the morning, knowing that you're not going to be able to do that at work anymore just because of the taking off and the mask. So definitely some reflection is probably needed on what your usual routine was and how you're going to adapt it.
Love it. Okay.
Oh, that also follows, hold on, before I forget about this one, because this is the other piece too, and I forgot that we had put this on here, is because lunch and supper, some people will have a snack in the afternoon or maybe commuting, but now with needing to wear a mask, say, on public transit, you're probably not going to be snacking on that time. So it actually might mean we have to eat supper a lot earlier, and we're going to have tip number 5 to figure that out. But you're also probably needing to adjust on the other end, or carrying something around with you, in your bag or a backpack for safely eating in the car. So that's something we're still trying to figure out what the best recommendations are on that. But compressing the meals and snacks seems to be one that I think will probably work out the best.
Very good. Good catch. Good catch. This one is an interesting one, and I've heard a lot of people talk to me about hydration, because it's not the same as it used to be. Or again, you could sip your water wherever and however. Now this point here, this tip only talks about non-medical cloth masks that you can work around. So using a straw to drink fluids means you can kind of sneak it in underneath your mask, on the side of your mask, and so long as you're actually, doing it properly, everything's clean, and you're not taking the mask off your face and pulling it away to do that, you're going to be in an all right position to reduce the risk. And of course, we want to keep it sustainable. Try and use a reusable straw instead of a single-use straw. Cleaning your straw daily is very, very important if you're going to take this approach. That would make total sense, because if your straw is hanging out above your bottle or cup or whatever it is, then it's going to be exposed to air unless you have a way of covering it.
That's right.
Anything to add?
No, that's that was some practical tips on that one, so that's a good one.
Awesome. Actually, one thing before we go on there, this one I picked up for my wife. We have flexible straws, and I should have put one in my container here, but if you have something like this that has a lid on it, you can actually put your straw inside and flex it inside, close the lid, so that if you walk away from your desk, you don't have anybody that might walk by, and we're supposed to all be wearing masks at work if this is the case for you, but still, it tucks everything away. And if you don't like straws, some people aren't a fan of straws for whatever reason, drink at breaks or at meals, and that's all you have to do.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 4.
I like number 4. I like number 4 because it's in a lot of our other webinars, this exact same tip. It was even in the one that we did about the, working from home. So this is kind of not necessarily has to do with masks, but it's that same concept of at some point during the day we need to take a break, and wearing a mask is going to feel very abnormal and very difficult. So we're saying kind of eat lunch outside because we know that the recommendations are a little bit looser with being outside. You can take a break from wearing the mask again if you're putting it on and off safely, and putting a new one, as we said, after the meals. But just that opportunity to be mindful, take a break from work, the stress maybe of that environment, and to breathe. So this one I think just has a lot of good points, whether we're wearing a mask or not, I think.
I agree, 100%. It's you're getting multiple benefits from doing this, aside from just being able to eat in a place that's not in front of your computer or at your desk.
Yeah. And it also will give you a time to kind of reflect, even from a hunger cues perspective.
Yeah.
Are we hungry? Are we not? Okay, I'm hungry at 10 o'clock. Do we need to adjust breakfast? So we can use lunch as kind of that, okay, what area do I need to adjust moving forward and resetting that routine?
Now, I guess it should be mentioned that because it's August when we're recording this, so eating lunch outside, very doable right now. But if people are watching this later on when the weather's not fantastic, it's cold outside, we'll have to come up with a different suggestion, I suppose. Whether it's implementing something similar, but it's, it might not be outside, maybe it's just in a different location, or someplace else if you can leave to go somewhere else. So trying to think of something similar, but I won't go too much down a rabbit hole because it's August still.
I know I don't want to be thinking about winter quite yet, but Brandon's right on that point. Is probably during the winter we're gonna have to come up with something different. But I still encourage people, whether it's winter or not, to still at least get outside and go for a walk. So
yes.
Even if maybe we can't eat outside, I would suggest, okay, you know what, you still can get outside, but it just might mean bringing some warmer stuff. But that's all I want to talk about winter because I'm not ready.
Totally. Alrighty. So you referenced this point earlier, so maybe I'll let you tackle this one first.
Yeah, and you know what? This is basically from again, number 5, this tip around meal planning is something that all of our webinars have been talking about. So if you don't know much about meal planning, I definitely would check out some of the webinars, and we can reference them here of which ones would do that. But meal planning is going to be very important, and the challenges that we think are going to be coming up are there isn't going to be maybe that opportunity or comfort level of all of a sudden, you know what, I'm just going to go and grab something from a restaurant, or I'm just going to go and grab something on the run, and it's going to push people a little bit more to be more mindful of what they are doing. So really the only way to be able to do that is to start engaging in meal planning. Right? What am I going to pack for lunch? Okay, I can't have breakfast at work anymore. What am I going to plan in the morning? Okay, I'm really hungry when I get home from supper. What am I going to plan? And meal planning, yes, it's great to know what we're having and stuff, but it's really to help with the impulse decision making. And I will I will put my hands up around that. I am not a good decision maker when I am hungry. So if I don't meal plan, I will forage on probably something like crackers, or popcorn. I just won't. So that's where meal planning now is going to become very important, because we don't rely on a lot of that outside eating or snacking pieces. So meal planning is going to be a big piece of this. Also knowing that the recommendations are still out there to only grocery shop once a week. So you're going to have to think about, okay, do I have enough groceries for my lunch items, my supper items, and my breakfast items? So I think that is something that, is super important.
And we help people with this a lot. And the thing to remember too is when we're talking about planning, we try and word it on this slide as not just thinking about like a meal plan, you know, a list of things that you can have and when to eat and what to eat, all those types of things. It's thinking about the context of everything, your routine, your schedule, you know, your preferences and all this. And you're really, it's trying to save yourself a little bit of time later on and save a little bit of stress, lower your stress level later on. Everything that we've talked about can help do that as well. Consistency is a big thing. And I know this could kind of have a domino effect too if you're not planning your lunches as one example. If you're not comfortable picking stuff up from a restaurant or from a takeout place around your workplace, or if ordering food to your work for delivery is a hassle, we don't want to have situations where you're, you know, potentially skipping lunch, going from breakfast to supper, which can cause, you know, a whole array of similar but also different issues too. So
that's right. There's, you know, we could probably go on and on about the benefits of meal planning. There's just so many of it. And I think actually the other thing is cost too.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we kind of forget about from, the stress. But also knowing that it takes time to get time. So meal planning, you know, yes, takes time, and it's going to take practice, especially if you're new to it. But the point is we invest time to be able to save time and get time back. So
I like that.
I think, it can help.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that saying. I like that. There you go.
We'll have to use that on a different one.
There you go. Okay, so there's your top 5 tips. Go through them again if you need to. Like we've mentioned before, we're here to support you. We deal with these points all the time. You know, not necessarily for mask wearing, but if this is something that's really, really affecting you and you're having trouble navigating it, that is what we are here for. We have a whole team, dietitians, psychologists, we have a chef on our team that can help with this type of stuff too. So we are not short of any tools and ways to support all of you if you need it.
That's right. And I would say with this topic to stay tuned, because who knows what's going to come over the next little bit. And if all of a sudden we get better ideas and more things kind of come to light about this. But we do hope that everybody's staying safe out there and, you know, wear those masks. I wish I was able to do this webinar with my mask. I've got now a pretty flower one and some other ones. So, and you'll be able to see our pictures of wearing the masks.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, bye.